Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at a little game called Thunder Fox for the Sega Genesis, which was brought to us by Taito as a port of the arcade original. The idea in Thunder Fox is basically just to walk either left or right all the way to the end of a stage and fight a boss battle to get past it. Now, you may be saying to yourself, this game looks terribly familiar, and yeah, you would be right, especially if you've ever played the Ninja Warriors before. Thunder Fox is essentially the exact same game, just with a different setting and characters. And just like the aforementioned Ninja Warriors, this game is pretty slow going, not a real high-octane action game. The whole thing moves at a pretty languid pace, but keep in mind, the game is fun once you kind of get a hang of it, how it works, and the basic mechanics of it. It's up to you at the beginning of the game to choose one of two characters, and you know what, guys, I'm going to let you go ahead and guess what their names are right now. Time's up. If you guessed Thunder or Fox, or a combination of Thunder and Fox, you would be correct. For the life of me, I can't seem to discern any major difference in between the two selectable characters, Thunder and Fox, outside of the obvious in that one wears blue pants while the other one wears red pants. But outside of that, as far as the gameplay goes and the different moves that the characters can do, they're basically the exact same thing. And forget bringing a shirt to battle or even tearing it off in the heat of the moment. In Thunder Fox, they just go ahead and show up to the battlefield with no shirt on, because why bother? You don't need to be encumbered when you're viciously stabbing anything that gets in front of you. The main attack that you're going to be using most of the time, at least at the beginning of the game, is going to be the default, which is the combat knife. So, basically, you'll be walking from left to right, just stabbing the ever-living hell out of pretty much anything that gets in front of you until you find a guy with a better weapon than the knife. Once you do, you kill him and pick it up, and it's usually a gun, it can be a flamethrower, or even a missile launcher. Now keep in mind, all of these weapons do have limited ammunition. The real key to winning at Thunder Fox, since it is a high priority in my life anyway, is utilizing the jump kick and roll maneuvers. By using this, which is just done with up and B or even down and B to roll downwards, you can pretty much take out anything in your path. And at the same time, you are also invincible while doing the move. So it's one of those moves that if you keep spamming it over and over again, enemies have a very small window to even cause any damage to you whatsoever. Also, for those of you guys who have played this game in the arcade before, even though it wasn't terribly popular, there are quite a few differences in between that version and the version that we're talking about here on the Sega Genesis. First and foremost, this game is no longer two players at the same time. And that is a total bummer. And on top of that, a good portion of the stages and different sections from the arcade version were completely omitted from the Sega Genesis port. The graphics in this one are pretty average, and I think I'm being generous when I say pretty average. It's really not that much fun to look at. It has moments of what seem to be a little bit of brilliance here and there, but overall there's just really not too much to look at, not a lot of color, the animation's good, the characters look decent, and they animate fairly well, but nothing that's really, really memorable. The music and sound, on the other hand, is actually pretty decent in Thunder Fox. My only real complaint would be that a lot of the sound effects and voice samples in the game do sound a bit muffled, and you can tell that they were definitely downsampled from the arcade original. The music, though, in Thunder Fox is extremely memorable and probably is the game's strongest point if I had to pick one specific feature. So that's basically it. That's Thunder Fox for the Sega Genesis, which is a pretty shoddy port of the arcade original if you ask me, but at the same time, it's still a pretty fun game. I would definitely recommend this one to anybody who's a fan of the Ninja Warriors or even Russian Attack. The games have a lot of similarities. This one shouldn't be too difficult for you to find, even online. The game goes for about $10 to $15, and that's including the box and instructions, so finding this one complete should be entirely reasonable online. It is a fun game too, and I think it is worth picking up. The graphics are okay, the gameplay is fun though, and it has some extremely memorable music that'll no doubt get stuck in your head. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for watching, subscribing, and even commenting. And until next time, stay classic.